It's a great spacecraft to fly. It's a little sports car.
Made of the right stuff.
We started losing the thrusters. Both of us were like, does that sound right? Does that sound right?
The astronauts, whose 8-day test flight
We were in a bad situation.
turned into 9 months in space.
What happened and why did it happen?
That's next on 60 Minutes.
In terms of living and working conditions, it couldn't have been more claustrophobic. For NASA astronauts, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore though, there was actually too much space. Their mission, the first crewed flight aboard Boeing's Starliner capsule to the International Space Station, was planned for 8 days. However, a combination of life-threatening mechanical malfunctions and logistic obstacles meant it ended up taking more than 9 months. But what a ride. 400 kilometres up and orbiting the Earth every 90 minutes at 28,000 kilometres an hour, Suni and Butch handled their unexpectedly lengthy space adventure with such composure, they well and truly proved they're made of the right stuff.
So I'm going to lead you.
You don't get to enjoy the wonder of space travel if you can't keep cool in a crisis.
Welcome aboard the International Space Station. It's a great place to be, a great place to live, a great place to work.
And it certainly was an unwavering resolve that helped these two through an out-of-this-world predicament. Not that they were letting that show at the time.
I was told I have the second best hair in the scene.
Butch and Suni, that is, NASA astronauts Barry Wilmore and Sunita Williams, have a tale that might just rival any Hollywood interstellar odyssey. They weren't lost in space, but they were certainly stuck.
This is a test flight. We were expecting to find some things, and so we are finding stuff.
You're giving a whole different meaning to working overtime.
I don't mind working overtime when it's in space. Not at all.
They didn't breathe fresh air, experience gravity, or even have a proper shower for a staggering 286 days.
What's that saying? No reason to cry over spilled milk, right? So we press forward. This is a tough business. Human spaceflight is not easy, and some of the lessons are harder learned than others.
Now less than 3 meters away from the International Space Station.
Their story has become one of the great space adventures. Not since the Apollo 13 rescue mission have the stakes been so high. What was supposed to be an 8-day test flight turned into 9.5 months, when Butch and Suni's severely malfunctioning Boeing Starliner spacecraft left them stranded on the International Space Station with no ride home. The journey there has become so common, it's considered routine. So when things go wrong, they've gone seriously wrong.
If we didn't get ourselves to the right place, yeah, there was a chance we could have perished.
Yeah, so Butch and Suni arriving on level 12.
Last look at planet Earth for a while, looking out over the ocean, saying hi to us. Hi, Suni.
On June 5th last year, there were no signs this momentous journey would end the way it did.
And Suni and I are honored to share this dream of spaceflight with each and every one of you.
It was the Boeing Starliner's test flight to see how well it operated, and its first with astronauts on board.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. And liftoff of Starliner and Atlas V, carrying 2 American heroes, drawing a line to the stars for all of us.
The mission had already been delayed for several years after 2 previous uncrewed flights in 2019 and 2022 suffered technical problems. This time, it was a textbook takeoff towards the International Space Station.
The first day was awesome. The first day the spacecraft worked as designed, and flying it was terrific. So when we woke up the second day, we were all excited about a rendezvous to the space station. We could see the space station.
But that's when Suni, who's handled the controls of 30 different air and spacecraft, knew something didn't feel right. She and Butch couldn't manoeuvre the Starliner. There was something wrong with the spacecraft's thrusters. When did you realise that something had gone really wrong?
We knew on the second day before we started losing thrusters, that things were not acting correctly. The spacecraft was working hard to keep us on the trajectory to the space station, but it wasn't acting like it was designed to. Soon thereafter, we started losing the thrusters, and then one after another, we knew something was absolutely wrong. And as soon as the automated burn started happening, it sounded different. I think both of us were like, does that sound right? Does that sound right? Because you can tell when things are working by the way they sound, right? Like your car is the same way. If it sounds a little different, you're sort of questioning yourself, like, am I hearing something, or what is happening here?
Knowing that now, it's remarkable in this vision how calm and controlled everyone seemed. Losing thrusters meant Butch had very limited control of the Boeing Starliner. He had to rely on all of his 25 years of experience as a NASA astronaut, and before that, a combat pilot for the US Navy. Because in a broken spacecraft, Butch had to make what, for most, would be an impossibly nerve-wracking choice. Either turn around and try to fly back to Earth, or attempt to precariously dock with the space station.
And we're looking about 30 seconds away from the final approach.
How seriously dangerous did it get for you and Suni out there?
It was, we were in a bad situation, no doubt. In the history of human spaceflight, there's only been a few occasions that the spacecraft has lost the ability to fully control in all 6 degrees of freedom.
So you're in a craft that you can barely control, you know you need a dock or you might not have a ride back home.
We had to dock. And if we didn't dock, I wasn't sure in the situation we were in that we could actually even make it back to Earth. So, and not just a feeling, just knowing we had to get docked to space station, because if we could get docked, we knew that's our safe haven. We would be at least safe for a period of time.
It would later be confirmed that helium leaks caused several thrusters to begin failing. Neither Suni nor Butch had been in that position before.
I had spent 1,000 hours, hundreds of hours in the simulator, just going through different scenarios of what possibly could happen. Never figured something like this out. So we're in a regime where it's unexplored, unexpected, and very challenging.
What was worst case scenario?
I mean, I'm thinking we've lost 4 thrusters. What's the control going to be like if we lose a 5th thruster? Because we've lost 2 bottoms and 2 starboards. What if we lose another one? How's it going to control then? I'm like, can you control it then? I'm going through this is going through my mind. So it was more of a what if, because that's kind of the way we train. We look forward to the next worst failure. And honestly, at this point, I didn't know what the next worst failure was.
Making matters terrifyingly worse, there were times Butch even had to let go of the controls and their fate with them, as Mission Control tried to remotely reboot the Starliner's thrusters. Were you thinking in that moment that you weren't going to get home ever again?
I don't think you concentrate on that, because then you could get stuck in that, right? That's not a great outcome to be thinking about. But I think the conversation with us was more of like, this is a little precarious situation we're in here, and let's take this one bite, one step at a time.
You can't let that affect what you're doing at the moment. You want to survive. We're focused on what we need to do, which was get to space station.
I think they call that nerves of steel.
I'm not alone in that. People that have, do this type of thing, they understand exactly what I'm talking about.
It must have felt like an eternity, but it was those quick decisions that meant Butch and Suni were eventually able to safely dock.
Nice to be attached to the big city in the sky.
Once they were greeted on board with hugs and cheers, as stoic as they are, they couldn't hide their relief.
Butch and Suni have made their arrival.
But this was just the start. As the excitement settled, Butch and Suni both knew they had no idea how or when they'd possibly get home. And, as you'll see, that unknown in the race to save them was perfect fodder for a presidential spat.
They left him alone. Biden left him up there. We love you and we're coming up to get you, and you shouldn't have been up there so long.
Life's looking a little different and grounded for Barry Butch Wilmore these days. Excitement for the now retired astronaut is mowing the lawn, a far cry from his 9.5 months stranded in space. Still, his wife Deanna's happy to see him home.
You could have taken that candle that smells like cut grass up there with you.
Yeah, firing up a candle in space. They're going to love that, aren't they?
Butch and his fellow NASA astronaut, Suni Williams, became stuck on the International Space Station after surviving a dangerous malfunction aboard their Boeing Starliner. Any time spent in space is said to be quite the divine experience.
Lord, we praise you and we thank you. In Christ's name.
And Butch, a devout Christian, certainly got his fair share of that.
For those of y'all that are not aware, and there may be a couple in here that aren't, I was the guy that was stuck in space last year.
He hasn't returned with all the answers, mind you, about the existence of everything, but he reckons his faith helped get him through.
Fear can be healthy in certain scenarios, but fear can be very detrimental in others. And so that's why I'm able to push things away, because I have complete and total trust in my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He's working out his plan and his purpose. And if he takes me on the 6th of June, I'm ready to go.
Divine intervention aside, what definitely didn't help matters was when Butch and Suni's space saga turned political. President Donald Trump and SpaceX CEO and founder Elon Musk blamed Joe Biden for abandoning them in space.
Do it sideways.
We are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
Yeah. Yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Did you feel abandoned up there?
Didn't pay attention. Knew it was happening, but, you know, I've got to fix the toilet today, or I got to work on this science. That has to be my focus right now. All this other stuff, I got to compartmentalize that away, because this is somebody's, I mean, they've put their all and passion into this for a long time, and I'm responsible for it. That's my focus. That's what's really important in the moment.
Your ordeal, your experience is remarkable, but it also became very, very political back down here. Were you in tune with that at all?
We heard some inklings of it, and it was interesting to me because I don't think space is political at all. People weren't going to be pushed around based on any comments on either side. You know, the consequences are high, right? It's serious business, and I think everybody really understands that and takes their job very seriously and does their job very professionally.
Despite having no idea how long they'd be there, Butch and Suni had no choice but to enjoy it. As NASA and the politicians scrambled to find them a ride home, the pair conducted spacewalks.
I am not feeling motion, but are you seeing anything?
No.
Science experiments, enjoyed the amazing view, and even took the ultimate selfie.
It's fun to have that, you know, that picture on as your screensaver, but it, you know, being able to share that is pretty awesome. I think people forget how amazing human beings are and what we can do, and this is just an example of some of the amazing things that we can do, just to showcase that.
Okay, second from the port is undone, popped out as well.
Were there tears? Sure. Once a day, usually while I'm up, it'll rotate over the area where my family is. And that was kind of, you know, I'd float up in the window at that time, and because you're physically not close, but you're closer than you are at other times during the day. Sometimes I'd call them and I'd be right over the top as we'd fly by at 5 miles a second. And that's nice and special. It's unique, right? I mean, that's very unique. I think we took 2 million pictures in the time that we were up there, which was 30%. We're told 30% of all photos ever taken on the International Space Station.
As fun as it was, getting them home wasn't just a win for the astronauts, but Elon Musk. Boeing's failure was the best ad for his company. He made sure there was spare room on his next planned SpaceX mission. After 9 months on the International Space Station, Butch and Suni finally had seats home. What was the overwhelming feeling for you when you finally started making your way home?
You know, it's bittersweet. I knew that for me, this is probably going to be the last time I was going to be in space, and I think that's probably why it was the hardest thing for me to leave, but also super excited to come home.
And there you see it on your screen, drogue deployment.
Drogue descent rate nominal. We have visual on 4 healthy mains.
After a 17-hour journey back to Earth.
And splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth.
And with a dolphin welcoming party, Suni and Butch were space castaways no more. They instantly knew it.
In space, all your joints are free, and all the joint pain goes away, and the neck pain goes away, and it's great because you're Superman, you're flying. We're still in the spacecraft, bobbing in the ocean, and my neck starts to hurt again. I think that's the first thing I realized. Man, we're back.
Splashdown.
Their 286-day space odyssey has taken a toll on their bodies. 6 months back on Earth, and with some intense rehabilitation, both Suni and Butch are slowly adjusting to life with gravity.
Gravity is not your friend when you first get back. It is tough. You don't have it for 6 months.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear that, how long the lingering effects of space actually stay with you.
And one of the things that most people don't know, that weightlessness, your blood really kind of floats in your veins as well, and your body goes, oh, you've got too much blood. So it starts purging blood vessels. And so when you come back from space after many months, you're anemic. You don't have a supply of red blood cells, which is what takes the oxygen around your body. And it really noticeably affects your stamina.
As for the failed Boeing Starliner, the project has been sent back to the drawing board. Its future remains uncertain as NASA continues to work out what caused the problems on June 6. Who or what is to blame for what happened to you and Suni?
Well, you can start by blaming me. As a commander of the spacecraft, there were some questions, honestly, I didn't know that I needed to ask. But that's not an excuse. There's certain questions I could have asked about some of the hardware, some of the thrusters, some of the testing or lack thereof that went into preparation for the mission that I didn't ask questions. But I think that's gamut across the board. NASA's got a huge amount of, it's not blame, but responsibility for this. Boeing obviously has responsibility for this. There's responsibility throughout all levels. But looking back and pointing fingers is not necessarily beneficial.
It's a hard business. It's a hard business to understand exactly how things work in space, but that's part of exploration. We learn and then we get better.
If it was ever even in doubt, it all proves just how resilient and tough astronauts can be. In fact, it turns out being stranded isn't enough for Butch or Suni to be turned off space. Or Boeing. Would you get back on Starliner again?
You know, if in a couple of years, once we see that we've done what we needed to do to solve these issues and we've shook out the spacecraft a little bit more, yeah, I'd get back on it. It's a great spacecraft to fly. It's a little sports car.
What does an astronaut with all those wonderful experiences do in retirement?
I am ready, whatever that is. And if somebody needs somebody to fly a spacecraft in space, I might even consider that.
Hello, I'm Adam Hegarty. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.